solution in an indirect fashion. They don't pick directly what little square is or when it appears, but they give pretty much like like guidance or select a subset of the stuff that could happen, and then the system kind of does the rest. In the end, we would take out a little bit of agency from the player, which could be seen as a no-no in games, but we do it so we can start more conversations about how computer intelligence and games can play, and we can spread some of these concepts to more people. So, are we feature log yet? Well, let's start with the good stuff. The backend, which has always been our biggest risk and our biggest feature, is completely feature done, and it has a few extra sauce on top. The game design team burnout was awesome. That's good. They're like right on the spot and correcting as they go, so that feels good. We have a new lead producer, and he kind of brought on the whip, and we have stand-ups and weekly meetings every single week, every single day. And then we have so much confidence in our tech that we are targeting 2 outlets for paper publications. One of them is a magazine, and the other one is a full-on conference. And lastly, we have so much data that AWS started charging us. We cannot run over the free tier. So that's on the good side. The bad, pretty much all for our team left, and recruiting took some time from an already small team, so that was pretty helpful. As the same, bringing people in, explaining what the idea is, pointing them to the right documents, how to build the game, etc., takes a lot of time up. Given the type of project that we're doing, that is really data heavy, the fact that we have a lot of progress there is really hard to show if we don't have the front end. So if we start falling behind, we have very little to show for it, which feels pretty crappy. And lastly, like as the team got small and deadlines started falling onto us, we had to aggressively cut the scope. So some cool stuff that we were excited had to get ditched, unfortunately. And then the really ugly stuff, our teams were down. We didn't have one, so it was not moving. This is a little bit exciting. As soon as they came in, we saw a lot of progress real fast. So, and this is not taking into account a little bit of an uptick, because they estimated some of the stuff that we had estimated before without artists, and they kind of brought it up, and they were like, yeah, you're kind of like playing it super nonsense. But still, there's a lot of work, and it's clear that if they match, we're going to match like right on the line. And as I was mentioning before, this is the engineering team burnout. Right here, when our team joined, our productivity kind of tanked because we were helping them get set up and trying to bring some of the art concepts into the game. So that's like a production overview of what has happened in the past couple of months. So where are we? Like after all that, team management, what can we do? So I'm probably the only guy that brings square slides to these presentations, but I love them. So pretty much when we say the backend, what our team means is pretty much this green box on this side. So pretty much everything that is not Unity running the interaction with the player. Each one of these boxes is like a separate repository, actually. Our game server is the guy that is just doing a lot of relay. Pretty much all the game clients connect to it. That guy is the guy that knows the rules. He tells you, oh, when you move, can you move over here? Can you, do you have this in your inventory and can you use it? Yes, no. Pretty much all game logic lives here. Each client is just a dumb terminal that asks for the server, hey, can I do this? And then the server says yes, no, and this is the result. Right? That has some cool game things because these are really hard to hack. Like cheaters have a lot of trouble with this kind of system, whereas when you have logic in your game, they start injecting right there, right? Then the game server, however, knows very little about state. If we drop one game server and bring it up back again and reconnect the clients, like the game should continue as it is. We have an almanac, which is the guy that handles the data. It's just pretty much running a front for DynamoDB, which is Amazon's database. And lastly, which is like our prime view, or pretty much what gives this whole project a sense of self, is our simulation server, which is pretty much what would be our intellectual property if this was a company or anything, which is where we actually run the simulation and generate all of the data that ends up in this database, and we can charge like $6 a month already. And so we're pretty proud of what we can do with this. As I was mentioning, we can bring down any of these servers and bring it up, and the other servers are like, yeah, cool, nothing happened. We can fake the presence of any of these servers. We can make the game server pretend, like talk to another server and make that server pretend it's an almanac, and we can get all of those interactions. That is kind of cool because you can scale and do a lot of crazy stuff that probably it's a little bit too early to be thinking of. But the team was always thinking about that stuff. And then, yeah, a few things. One really cool thing we did with this infrastructure was our game designer was like, yeah, changing simple curves about some costs is taking me too much time and I have to bother an engineer. What can we do? And we built a little widget in Unity that he could use and change the rules in any game server that was running at the time. So that was kind of cool, so he could iterate and do cool stuff, right? And then, you know, architecturally or from an engineering perspective, this is how you would do stuff in the real world. Like microservices are the hottest thing right now. Netflix, Amazon, Riot, they all bring this type of mindset. So we're playing like the big boys. And the really bad thing is some of our coolest features right now are really invisible and really hard to show to the rest of the people. So again, that's a little bit of a drawback of being so, you know, tech heavy. So this is us at the beginning of the semester. This is where we're now. And as you can see, art happened. A lot of art happened. The new art director and the team that she assembled is pretty awesome. So and I was just talking to Sunjana about how great it's been to work with someone remotely who knows how to work remotely. Some of our biggest focus has been in trying to, you know, our game is pretty much just, there's a bunch of data and we want to show you to you in a fun way. And we think like some of these things are fun ways to show it. You can tell us a little bit. And tech-wise, as I was mentioning, the client doesn't really do a lot. I think we have a couple of cool like procedural shaders, and that's probably the only thing that's worth mentioning. Everything else is just like UI over data layout over UI. And then what happens from here to May? As I was mentioning, we didn't hit our like future lock by today. Besides the obvious things I was mentioning about like production and whatnot. This week we had our lead game designer be out for 2 days for food poisoning. So even timing played a little bit against us. But we're trying to finalize pretty much every tech thing by next week. For me, it's actually good that I don't have to come here because I get to work. And then after that, art and UX becomes our biggest priority. UX is the next big risk after tech for us. So we're trying to hit that pretty much for the rest of the semester as our priority. Then, as I mentioned, we have to write a couple of papers. The original Polyminis project produced a paper, so we're probably going to riff off that. And we're targeting like games and AI conferences. And last but you know, kind of repeating myself, I am a nerd for infrastructure, so we're probably going to try to do something cool with it. Maybe run several thousands of simulation servers and see what happens. If anyone is willing to sponsor an AWS account, please let me know. And yeah, questions so far?
Demo.
All right.
Let's go into the demo.
All right. Let's go moving, please. In the spirit of showing our backend infrastructure, that's going to be playing in the background. All right, so we have users. We track inventory per user, as well as location in the universe, and what you do. We actually can track like which planets you visit and how often you do, so we can tell you, oh, you haven't been in this planet for this long. I mean, we can do that. We don't do a lot of the UI stuff. So when I say we can do it, there's a lot of data that we can query, in any way we want. We just haven't had the time to actually show it in a cool way. So I mean, we've been into this scene a few times before. As you can tell, everything's a little bit more propped up. I think our aesthetic is going to be leaning toward more like really big buttons because we only have like 5. So really big, bright buttons, and then everything else is going to be toned down because you don't have how many times I've been asked why this is not working. Anyway, besides that, we had a few playtests. Most of our feedback was like around that, but I think people like the idea, so it's been super inspiring to see how people interact with the idea once it kind of gets broken down for them, and they interact a little bit with the game. But anyway, so I was mentioning before, when you open the star map, we would always start at the center. I preloaded this account with moving it pretty far away, so this happens. But like pretty much at the end of each session, your last position in the universe is going to be recorded. You're going to be seeing this guy blinking. That's the Space Exploration Service telling us that save the position. Resources, we collect pretty much our only resource in the game, which is biomass. Now, any action our player makes has to do with biomass, or earning or losing biomass. I'm seeing you.
5 flipping points?
Hey, I like precision.
Actually, sorry, could you be a little more accurate? How much biomass do I need?
Actually, you're gonna see like 2 types of numbers throughout this presentation. The ones that pretty much are like flat integers, or that are like really behind like bars and stuff. That's a game designer, and you're gonna see a lot of like just data dumps. That's me.
Okay.
So you can tell who was working on which feature depending
Awesome.
on the number of decimals.
Let's see.
But anyway, yeah. So this is a warp. Warping is just moving immediately to a planet, but you can just as well just navigate around. We have around 70 planets. I think in this square we have to discover them. We need to travel a little bit. In this square there are like 25, and then some of them are not even reachable in the current screen. But I swear they are there. I can show you the data. Alright, so storage, as I was mentioning, inventory. Players have stuff they carry with them. They pretty much have 2 types of inventory creatures that they have created and edit. As you can see, we're starting to work with tooltips of sorts, because people would come into this scene, would come into this screen without understanding what's expected from them. Because now we have a, hey, this is an inventory, save it. When you exit, your usual. All of this is also persisted on exit. If we remove this thing, save it, come back again, it's gone, and now it's gone forever. It's back in the data vault. So yeah, let's work to a planet, and as we can, as I was telling, data is gonna be like the only thing that is fun about the game, or the only. I mean, data is the source of it all, right? So we need to exploit it to make the game fun, right? So we started playing around with charts and how to present information to players. We got some cool animations in there. We see, this is me, and this is him. It says absolutely nothing. And then, for example, when you find a creature that you didn't create, it will tell you, oh, this was created by another player. This is, as I mentioned, this is massively multiplayer in the same sense as No Man's Sky will be massively multiplayer. We both interact with the same world, we just don't see each other. In our case, there's no sense of seeing each other, so we don't want to complain for that. But we all interact with the same world. If I leave a creature here, you will see it, etc. Right? If I want to interact with someone else's creature, I just research it. I can get information of their genetic makeup, and then pretty much that's it. And then I can build other creatures like that. And yeah, I think our last feature is just observing creatures. The thing would be like, as generation passes start filling up. Right now we can hold up around 100 generations per planet without it being ridiculous. And yeah, the idea is you see this state and you go like, oh, how did we get here? And then you can see like the evolutionary process that led you there. We can check Polyminis, and we really want these to be much more interesting and like poppy and stuff. There's not a bunch of floats, but yeah, like that set of floats right there is the brain of the creature. Is actually like the area that makes up the neural network, and eventually when the thing moves, like it starts blinking because it's getting data from one place, and it will like recalculate stuff and post it into its output. And so like if this was like an actual neural network, it would be really cool. That's our target. We're just slightly before that with the numbers showing up, and yeah, you can see these guys are moving, and that kind of makes no sense until you contrast it with where they began. So this is the beginning of time. Nothing is moving. And well, get that guy. And guess who's gonna get to reproduce a lot this year? Because so the whole idea of how Polyminis live is they go through a set of challenges, and you never see that, unfortunately. But they go through like a bunch of little challenges, like move a lot. You know, like the more you move, the more. Well, there's like move a lot really fast, move a lot exploring, move a lot. You know, not touching anything, and then that trains up like both how they build their bodies and how they build their brains, and then after running through all of those challenges, you get to see them. The thing is, those challenges get numbers from the planet itself, so each set of challenges varies per planet, so you start getting those differences. Right now we had a pretty bad bug, so our data is a little bit not awesome, so there are only a few generations we can actually jump at without having to do a big run. But yeah, feel free to ask any questions. I know by now I'm just down and going back and forth with And yeah, we were talking about adding more camera controls here, taking when the creature works and follows, and maybe like a free camera. But that I'm not sure how we'll implement it to portray it like the 76 camera. So.
Question: what are some of your ideas about how to communicate to the player the kinds of challenges the Polyminis are actually undergoing on the planet? Because I noticed if you go back to the previous view, if you zoom out, you can see the variation in temperature, but how are you going to communicate the relationship of the surface temperature to the Polyminis that are currently living there, and which ones are likely to survive because of their sensitivity to the temperature?
Alright, so let's say this. Yeah. So I think the only point of contact between players and those like raw challenges are instincts, which is like the 4 symbols we carry around the game. So those 4. Each challenge falls into one of those, or into like none, which is like basic stuff. Don't die. If you die, you don't get points. Other stuff. Don't become huge and block the whole space.
Okay.
But
and which of the 4 challenges as we see them there? Yellow, green, red, blue.
So
what's each one?
blue is the nomadic instinct or exploratory instinct. That's gonna have to do with move and survive temperature.
Okay.
Like you can go wherever you want. Green is eat and don't waste your energy, so don't move if you don't think you have to move.
Okay.
Red is pretty much go and slam your face into other species. And
Predation.
yeah, it's aggression. And then yeah. Oh, and green is sorts. Sorry, I'm missing one.
Blue.
So yeah, I messed that up. Blue is exploration. Green is hoarding, like social stuff, being close to yours, and yellow is eating a lot.
Yes. Fantastic.
And I don't know if we're showing fitness right now, but the score of the creature is calculated based on those scores. So that's where that's how we collect it. And yeah, any more questions? Right.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
That's it.